What is going on? Welcome back to the Misfits Media page. Been a minute since we've had any new postings in the podcast. It's been a little while, maybe 6-7 months since we put a fresh podcast up. But I did want to get this thing back started again, and what better time now than during COVID-19 world? That's what I like to call it. So we're going to start hopefully a weekly podcast upload again. This week I want to do a 3-part podcast. So you're going to get 3 specific podcasts this week, all pertaining to the same subject matter, but you're going to be spoiled a little bit, and hopefully between now and Sunday you'll get 3 uploads in the podcast playlist this week. I want to remind you that these are uploaded to YouTube. These are uploaded to YouTube and shared on Facebook. So if you have a YouTube page or a username, I would like for you to subscribe and share anything that we post on our Misfits Media page. That Misfits Media page is going to start carrying not only the podcast, but also some songs that we do at church, maybe some recordings that some of our members of the worship team do themselves. Could be a collaboration. Could just be a song that we've done in the church service that I've taken out of the recording that we do on Facebook Live. Just something I want to share with the public that sounds really good as a congregation we sing together. Also, special music that some of our singers do at the church. We'll kind of post those up there as well. And if you have any requests for songs, let me know. Send them to me directly or comment in the field and let us know if you have specific songs and people that you'd like to hear sing them. Also, we'll be uploading some of our sermons that are shared on Facebook Live or Zoom. So we'll try and download those and get them put here on the YouTube page for some of those folks that maybe don't use Facebook or maybe don't have access to a Facebook account. But I did want to start this week getting kind of back into swing of things with an in-depth discussion about what God is teaching us during COVID-19 world. You're going to hear me refer to COVID-19 world a lot. That's what I call it. That's what I call the status that we are all currently in. We are all living in COVID-19 world. Things are not the same today that they were 2 months ago. So for some of us, things are not the same today as they were yesterday. Now, just before we get into this discussion and topic, I do want to tell you that this podcast series, this 3-part series, is really going to focus on those of us that maybe are not affected by the illness firsthand, have not been sick ourselves, or have not had someone in our family that are sick, or neighbor or friend, that's battling the virus. So this is going to be from a little bit different perspective, because there are a lot of people that are suffering right now, that are going through a lot of hardship associated with the virus as far as contracting it, being in quarantine away from their family and friends, maybe even those that have family members that are in the hospital or in a nursing home that they're not able to see or able to be in the same room with. That podcast is going to be coming down the line, but this one this week is really is going to pertain to us as individuals that maybe are just out of work, maybe place laws. So really what we're going to talk about is how we spend our time. Are we productive with the time that we've been giving in this COVID-19 world? And part of answering that question is, what is God teaching me or teaching us during COVID-19? And so I really want to look at 3 different answering that question. The first one is going to be a self-reflection, the effects it has on me personally. What effects does living in COVID-19 world have on me as an individual? Secondly, what effect does it have on our church? On our local churches, on our statewide as an organization, and even as a country and as a world in sharing the goal? What effect is it having during COVID-19 world? Is it a positive? Is it a negative? I would venture to say, as we dig into it, we're going to find both. We're going to see a lot of positives that are coming out of this as far as how the church is reacting. And we're also going to see some things that maybe we failed at, maybe we could get better at, and that we can start responding to immediately. And thirdly, what's the response to our community, the effect that COVID-19 world is having on our community, whether it be our neighbors or our small towns, even our cities. I know we hear a lot of stories about homelessness and the effect that COVID-19 is having on the homeless community. So we're going to talk about that in session 3. But again, going back to session one, that's what we're going to talk about today, is the effect it has on oneself. What effect is it having on you as an individual? What effect is it having on me as an individual? So I'm just going to talk very briefly about some things to consider, some questions maybe to ask yourself, and maybe some responses you might have during COVID-19 world. So very quickly, I learned that during this COVID-19 world, everything slowed down like as they used to. We work primarily with shipping companies in the business I do. And so we very quickly learned that the access to product slowed down. Things that we were able to get overnight or within 24 hours is now taking a week. On my workforce, on what I do, was a slowing effect. It slowed everything down. And naturally, that slowed me down because I'm a very work-driven person. I'm very focused on what I do, and I'm very engaged in what I do. And a lot of people were like me. You may be just like me, engaged in what I do. A lot of people were like me. You may be just like me, where you say, look, I devote 8 to 10 to 12 hours of my day to my work, whatever it is. And what I learned very quickly was things are slowing down. And because things are slowing down, I'm slowing down. And if you're like me, when you start to think more, your brain starts to work faster. Well, I had to start having some conversations with God about that, because I said, God, I'm not used to this. I'm not used to this 100 mile an hour a day down to 40 miles an hour. And it seemed like each day I was getting slower and slower. An hour. And it seemed like each day I was getting slower and slower. Things that used to consume my time no longer consume my time. And so I was left with excess time. And I had an opportunity to converse with God about that and start reflecting and saying, God, a couple days is cool. A couple days with not really having any, throw the TV on and maybe you watch a marathon of Star Wars, all 9 movies, or you decide to do a 90s binge day where you do nothing but watch 90s shows, or maybe you're a book reader and you're like, I'm just going to buzz through 3 or 4 books, throw the headset on and listen to music, and before you know it, but you've wasted a day. And again, admittedly, I think that's okay that we take some time to ourselves. But after about 3 or 4 days of it, I said, wow, I'm not being productive with the time. And this is an opportunity for me to do some self-reflection. My brain is finally slowed down and I can focus and conversing with God and asking him, what is it in me that you may want to change? Maybe somewhere you want to pivot me to? Maybe something that I'm not doing that I should. Maybe there's things that I'm doing that I shouldn't. But I had time to ask those questions. And more importantly, I started to have time to listen to the answers to those questions. So the first thing I tell you is have a conversation with God. And some scripture to back that up is Psalm 139, 23 and 24. Again, that's Psalm 139, 23 and 24. Search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. That verse hit home with me, and I thought, wow, okay. This is my opportunity to ask God to search me. And he knows I've got anxious thoughts. Put them to the test. See if there's anything offensive in me that I need to change. And as you reveal those things to me, lead me in the way that's everlasting, in your way, your path, not mine. Because if you're anything like me, I've been doing my thing. I jump on the God train and I go, hey, I'm on his track now. I'm going his way. But something I realized lately is, for the most part, a lot of the things I do because I want to do them. They're selfish to me. Even if they are godly things, they can be cloaked in selfishness. So this was an opportunity for me as I slowed down, my brain slowed down. I said, God, am I doing the things I'm supposed to be doing for the right reasons? Search me. Is there offensive things in me that I need to change, that I need to stop doing? Search me. Change that I need to stop doing? Search me. I want to encourage you to do the same thing. And in having that conversation with God, he revealed a couple things to me. He said, hey, listen, in COVID world, I'm taking away the excuses. We've all got them. We've all got excuses that we give God all the time. And my favorite one, top 10 for most people, but number one on my list, I don't have time. Oh, I'd love to do that, but I don't have time. I'd love to minister to that person, but I don't have time. I'd love to call that person, I don't have time. I'd love to read my Bible more, I'd love to read my Bible more, I don't have time. Listen, if you're anything like me, COVID world has afforded you time. No excuse not to be reading the Bible anymore. Not for me. No excuse not to be praying more. Not for me. Maybe for you. I don't know. No excuse not to be a part of every church service. No excuse for me not to be connecting with my life group. It's the 4th week of April. It's been 5 weeks since we've had a shutdown, a state shutdown. And I can honestly say that this is the first week that I've made an effort to reach out to this. God's not revealing everything to me in one day, in one sitting. Something else he's telling me is I need to be checking in on my family. And I'm talking about that family that we only see at holidays. You only see them at Christmas and Easter and, well, not this Easter, but at Christmas and Thanksgiving and maybe on their summer trip, Christmas and Thanksgiving and maybe on their summer trip to Ohio, or maybe you're on your vacation out of state. Because COVID-19 world is everywhere. That's why I say world. It's not COVID-19 community. It's everywhere. So if you got family out of state, it's affecting them just as much, if not more, as it's affecting you. So we have a responsibility to reach out, to love these people, to love your family members. And I'm talking about those family members that you might only see once a year. Maybe sometimes you only see them once every 10 years at reunions. We have a responsibility to love those people. We have a responsibility to love our neighbors. And if you got a neighbor that's afraid of contact and distancing, yell through the window. Pick up the phone. We can still get a hold of and minister to. You can do that. Maybe you have a neighbor that pays for lawn care service. And because of COVID-19, maybe their lawn care provider is out of work. And so they're unable to do the yard work. But you're capable. Offer to do it. And don't charge them. Love them enough not to charge them. Maybe they're elderly and they're used to going to the grocery store, but they're fearful of doing so now because of COVID-19. Offer to get their groceries. I'm not saying pay for their groceries. I know we're all hurting a little bit, but offer to pick them up. Medications. If the pharmacy's not delivered, offer to go be that person that picks them up. Here's a big one. Maybe their doctors are telling them, hey, we're doing remote sessions. We're doing remote meetings and clinics, and they don't know how to use a computer. Be that person that teaches them how to use a laptop or an iPad. Let them use yours. They might not have one. A laptop or an iPad. Let them use yours. They might not have one. These are things that God's teaching me through COVID-19 world. Because the reality is that this is a great opportunity for us to reach the lost. But without some self-reflection and asking God to search us and show us the right way, the path he wants us to lead, we won't be afforded those opportunities to love people. And the truth is that the world, your neighbors, your family members that don't know Christ, your community that doesn't know Jesus, they're going to judge Jesus by the love we provide. John 13:34 and 35. John 13:34 and 35 says, "A new command I give you, love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples." 2 short verses. Jesus uses the word love repeatedly. It's an important word. And he's telling you, he's telling me, people will know who I am, he being Jesus, by the effects of the love that we provide the world. If our love is selfish, people will think our Jesus is selfish. If our love is unconditional, meaning You have nothing. There's no, you give me this, I'll give you that. It's just, I want to give you this. Nothing needed in return. If people think they have to give you something back for your love, that's what they'll think about Jesus. But the truth is, unconditional love is what we are supposed to give everybody. I'll mow your grass. I don't need anything. I'll go pick up your groceries for you. I don't need anything. I'll run to the pharmacy for you. I don't need anything. I just love you. Will judge your Creator, and they will judge your Savior by the love that we provide. So again, it all starts with a conversation with God. I came to those realizations because of my conversations with God. If you struggle with your conversations with God, and how to converse, it's the same manner in which we converse with each other. Just talk to Him. It doesn't always have to be on bended knee with your head bowed and eyes closed. It can be in the easy chair. It could be driving your car, as long as you got your... I'm talking to a microphone. And I can talk to God just as easily. And the way we know He responds is through Scripture, through song, and through our online services and Bible study, and through conversations with each other. I know God hears me. And responds to me when I'm listening to uplifting, positive music, and I hear a message in it. And I go, man, God's listening to me, speaking to me. And through Bible study, you might think Bible study is just Bible study, to learn things about the Bible. That's true. But God speaks through Bible study. How many times have you gone to a church service and went, wow, preacher was preaching to me today? No, that's God using Scripture to tell you something. And I would encourage you, be on every online service we have. Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night. It's very simple. Log on to Facebook or be a part of the Zoom login. Log on to Facebook or be a part of the Zoom login if you don't have Facebook. But outside of that, start a Bible study in your home. If you live with folks, if you got roommates, family members, kids, grandkids, whatever, start a Bible study. Say, hey, every Tuesday night we're going to get together around the dinner table and we're going to talk about the Bible. That's all you got to say. Those 2 questions. Might be a 5-minute discussion. Could be an hour discussion. You don't have to prepare anything. What'd you read? What'd you learn? That's a Bible study. And as we close this first session, I'm going to try and keep these short. 10 15 minutes. As we close the first session, I really want to challenge you to ask God this question. God, why is this pandemic? Why is COVID-19 happening for me, not to me? Why is it happening for me? Everything that happens for a reason. It's old cliche. Nobody likes that answer. But it's true. There's a plan and a purpose for everything. There's a lesson in everything. Nothing happens without design by the Creator. Okay? Many times people say, God is doing this to me. God is giving me this disease, this virus. No. He's allowing it to happen for a purpose. And that's the basis of this week's study, this week's podcast. Why is COVID-19 world happening for you? For me? Why is COVID-19 world happening for you? For me? As I reflect on myself, it's happening so that I'll slow down, so that I won't lose focus, so that I'll continue to converse with God. And I'll make more time. That's an excuse we all say, we'll make more time. When you say you're going to make more time for God, what you're really saying is, I'm not willing to give up what I'm already doing. I'll figure out a way to make more time. No. I'll give God my first. I'll make time for the things that don't mean anything. I'll make time for the things that don't mean anything. I'll make time for the unproductive things. So what COVID-19 world has taught me is to slow down. And I'm not making time for God anymore. I'm giving time to God. It's going to be difficult. For many of us, it's difficult. But I'll tell you that says if you do anything for 45 days straight, it becomes a habit. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter if it's getting up at 6 a.m., if it's working out, if it's drinking water, if it's watching TV, fill in the blank. If you do something routinely for 45 days, it becomes habit. That could be a good thing or a bad thing. If you're a smoker, start smoking. So my point is this. What are you going to take the next 45 days and make a routine of? Because your routine will become habit. So maybe you're somebody that says, listen, right now I'm not working. My schedule is whatever I want it to be. So maybe you're going to take the first 15 minutes of your day and spend it with God. And then whenever you start working again, keep doing it. Keep giving him the first 15. And if that means you got to get up 15 minutes earlier in the day, I think you'll miss it. I think you'll miss not spending that time with God. Do it for 45 days straight. See if it doesn't become a habit. Don't waste this reset. Don't waste this opportunity. I'm going to do my best not to. If you want to leave a comment in the comment fields and say the same, that you're not going to waste your reset, you're not going to waste this opportunity, I'll try and help hold you accountable to that. All I ask is you do the same for me. Accountable to that. All I ask is you do the same for me. I'm going to try and slow down. I'm going to stop using the word try. I'm going to slow down. I'm going to keep focused. I'm no longer going to make time for God. I'm going to give time to God. And we'll just see what happens. I think in the end, everything will just turn out. It'll be just fine. I look forward to our next session. Probably coming on Friday will be about the church, the impact that COVID-19 world is having on our church, not only our local church, but on the churches in our community, churches in America, churches in the world. We'll talk just a couple of minutes about that. Again, I encourage you, please subscribe and like the page on YouTube. There's a little bell notification. If you hit that bell, you'll actually get on your smartphone or through your email, you'll get a notification anytime a new video pops up. And again, that video could be that we've uploaded a cover song or one of the special musics, but also could be the podcast. So anything that gets pushed to the Misfits Media page, if you click that bell icon, you're going to get notified. I would appreciate that you also share this on Facebook with your friends. Invite people to subscribe to the page on YouTube. I really want to try and build a little bit of a following. This is another opportunity for us to spread the gospel really across the internet, which means it's across the world. So if you like what you're hearing, definitely give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share, leave me a comment. I love feedback. If you want to be on the podcast, we will set it up to where I can call into you and we'll just do that. We'll have a discussion over the podcast. I think we're going to start a segment soon. I've already talked to him about it, called Stan Ask a Question. This is going to be a fun segment. Hopefully it'll just be maybe once every couple of weeks, maybe once a month, but the segment will be Stan Asks a Question. Those are always fun times if you've been a part of them. So I hope you guys have an interesting rest of your day. I look forward to speaking to you again soon. And again, this is Misfits Media Podcast, signing off.